Good morning. Please be seated. My Lords, ladies and gentlemen, as Chairman of the Board of the Directors of UKLPG, it is my privilege and honour to welcome Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal.
Thank you, Chair. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and for most of you, probably welcoming you to London would be unnecessary, but on this occasion, for this 26th World LP Gas Forum, probably not a bad place to start, but it's also the 2013 AEGPL Congress and incorporating the 2013 UKLPG Conference. Does that cover everybody? And I'm not going to use any of that terminology again, because I don't think my tongue will cope with it. But this is only the second time in history that the World LP Gas Association and the European LP Gas Association have actually combined their conferences. So I hope that that is good news, that you can all come together. I suspect it covers, the same people cover most of those conferences, but it does bring more people under one roof than at any other previous LP gas event. I hope that means that the conference will have more debate, more speeches, more at the exhibition to look at. But it should offer, and I think it probably does, a unique opportunity for the sector to come together, not only to network and do business, but to see the latest innovations and technologies and discuss how the gas industry is adapting to changing energy and environmental priorities in both the developed and developing world. Presumably that's a bit of a challenge, because the rest of the time you're arch competitors. So coming together to see the innovations and technologies is an interesting moment. And the theme of this year's event, LP Gas, Making a World of Difference, is an appropriate one when one considers the contribution that LP gas makes to people's lives the world over. And I've had the opportunity of seeing in the past just what that might be. 4 million people, mostly women and children, die prematurely every year in developing countries through air pollution, caused predominantly from cooking with traditional fuels. And I won't divert into stories about the difference made by putting in stovepipes into tents in Ladakh. That would probably take too long. But LP gas is used as a clean and modern cooking fuel and is saving lives. It does make a real difference to change that. But it does have the potential to save many more through reducing the indoor air pollution, as well as relieving the burden on people, mainly women and children, who would otherwise need to gather firewood, and of course also reduces the impact on trees and deforestation as a result of that. Indeed, Dr. Kande Imkalo, Special Representative to the UN Secretary General, will be addressing you shortly on this important subject. Closer to home, LP gas's unique properties as a portable energy allows those living beyond the gas mains to enjoy the benefits of a gas-heated home whilst burning low-carbon fuel. Now, you know that very well, because that's what drives your business, but it's where that is most appropriately used. Logistics is part of the bigger question mark of how you reach your customers. Having a very good fuel still demands that you have to get it to your customers, and I suspect that still has its limitations. It is becoming, and at the moment is, the most popular alternative transport fuel. So logistics and transport are very much in your calculations. It already powers millions of vehicles across the globe, and that diversifies energy supplies and reduces carbon and air pollution. And I've driven some of those vehicles, and I've met some of those companies who use it on a regular basis, and I know they're very pleased with it as a fuel, and the difference it makes to their bottom lines, and looking forward to a future where it is a truly sustainable alternative. And it's possible due to the contribution of certainly of your industry, but also associations like yours who come together to discuss markets and how you can increase that market and the way in which you need to do so. Billions of people, I think, already benefit greatly from your product. But it is only at events like this that you can learn from each other about how to use it more effectively and safely and expand its reach. As I said, it's a very competitive business. There are not too many of you in it, and most of you know each other. You know that R&D and into technology is vital in order to make a difference in the future, to make you more competitive and more successful. And the sector now has very much its own identity, but that brings with it expectations from your customers and from the rest of the community. You have to counter misinformation, which also exists, because inevitably the word gas does conjure up less safety in some people's minds. And it is an opportunity to focus on the benefits of LP gas and around the world in a whole range of ways that people don't often stop to think about. And it is an opportunity to counter the misinformation, to concentrate and underline the safety of the product because it has been used, again, probably for much longer than people realise, and its record is pretty good. But it's also an opportunity to underline that there are no shortcuts in your industry, because that does undermine the sector and your ability to grow that sector in the future. So I hope you will find, in spite of the fact that technology probably there's a temptation for international businesses now to say, we have video conferencing, we don't need to go anywhere. But there are some advantages in coming together for conferences like this. Hopefully because underneath all that competition, you're relatively good friends. But also because it does give you a real opportunity for face-to-face to create those networks which are important for the sector in the future, as a sector to sell itself in the future to those customers who you haven't reached yet. So it's my pleasure to formally open the 26th World LP Gas Forum and wish you all a very productive and fruitful conference. Yeah, I hope you'll have an enjoyable time in London too. But I suspect that the fruits of this particular conference will be when you return to your businesses and your countries, to be, I hope, encouraged by this conference in the strength of the sector and its future and the way in which you need to proceed in order to make that even more successful. So I wish you a very good conference and an enjoyable time in London.